Do your consumer marketing efforts feel complicated? Experian Automotive delivers data-driven marketing solutions to find new customers and keep loyal ones. Drive measurable results with trusted data and expert support. Learn more at Experian.com/automotive.
Welcome to Daily Drive for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. I'm Kellen Walker in Las Vegas. Today on the show, Stellantis detects a cybersecurity breach. Jeep cancels the Gladiator 4xe, and Porsche tears up its future EV plans. Plus, industry consultant and former FCA exec Larry Dominique talks about automaker tech challenges and rising threats from China.
I do believe the legacy OEMs are falling into a trap. They've got to find a way to, in some ways, build a new airplane while they're still in flight.
Let's run through all the news you need to know to keep up in the auto industry. Stellantis is the latest auto company to suffer a data breach. It says it detected unauthorized access to a third-party service provider's platform that supports its North American customer service operations. Stellantis says the incident exposed only basic contact information and did not involve financial details or sensitive personal data. Stellantis did not specify how many customers were affected. Earlier this month, JLR said that its retail and production activities were severely disrupted following a cybersecurity incident, forcing its factories to stay shut until Wednesday of this week. Meanwhile, Stellantis has canceled the Jeep Gladiator 4xe. That's as the automaker reassesses its product plans. Stellantis told suppliers in a letter that the cancellation of the plug-in hybrid Gladiator is effective immediately, and that all related activities and agreements will be concluded. The Gladiator 4xe would have been the third plug-in hybrid in the Jeep lineup, joining the Wrangler and Grand Cherokee. And in a major pivot, Porsche expects to launch a new crossover with combustion and plug-in hybrid powertrains instead of making it fully electric as it first planned. Porsche attributed the decision to market conditions. It did not specify when the new model will launch. And those are today's headlines. You can find more details on all those stories at autonews.com. Joining me now to talk more about the decision to cancel the Jeep Gladiator 4xe is Vince Bond Jr., who covers Stellantis for us at Automotive News. Vince, welcome back to Daily Drive.
Thank you.
So Vince, this model was expected this year. What are the likely factors that led to Stellantis getting rid of it?
Well, the main one that Stellantis told suppliers in a recent letter from last week is that they don't see the demand, for this type of pickup right now. And I thought that was actually surprising because if you look back at the Jeep Wrangler 4xe and the Cherokee 4xe, those have been really popular models in the lineup. Even if they don't give you a ton of EV range, they are really good on the off-road courses. They have the extra torque, from that powertrain. And so, but Stellantis made that decision. They're saying they're going to reinvest that money, and so we're going to see some more options when it comes to factory features, customization, and other powertrain options that they have planned in the near future. And so, apparently, that money from the 4xe could go to those plans.
Interesting. And this is the latest in a series of product changes since Antonio Filosa became CEO of Stellantis this year. Remind us what other products have been canceled or adjusted.
Yeah, there's been just a huge, recalibration of their plans really in the last, 9 months since Carlos Tavares left. Just a full reassessment of their strategy. So we mentioned today the Gladiator 4xe is out. And then earlier this year, we had tariffs. And so that halted production for the Dodge Charger, a Daytona RT trim. And so that won't be around for 2026. We won't see the Dodge Hornet. That's shipped from Italy. So we won't see that because of tariffs this year. And then also the Ram full electric Ram 1500. That is no longer in the cards. And so they've really gone through the whole lineup, and they're still making changes as we speak.
Wow, a lot of changes going on in the industry right now. Vince, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, no problem.
Coming up, consultant and former PSA executive Larry Dominique talks about mounting challenges for U.S. automakers as Chinese brands reach new technology milestones. That's next on Daily Drive.
Are you an automotive marketer navigating today's rapidly evolving landscape? Finding new customers and nurturing existing relationships can feel like a complex journey. But what if you had a powerful engine fueled by trusted data to guide your way? That's where Experian Automotive comes in. We understand the challenges you face. Today's personalized consumer journeys demand intelligent planning and precise execution. That's why we offer the Experian Marketing Engine, a coordinated suite of data-driven solutions designed to help you develop, execute, and most importantly, measure effective marketing campaigns. At the heart of our solutions is Experian's trusted data and a dedicated automotive team committed to your success. We empower you to drive measurable results with unique data insights, including identity solutions to help you better connect with your ideal customers with greater accuracy by cleaning and enriching your first-party data. Consumer and market insights helps you gain a deeper understanding of market trends and consumer behavior, enabling you to better target consumers. Targeted audiences to help you pinpoint and target the right prospects at the right time with the right message. Better data truly connects you to better results. Stop guessing and start driving measurable impact with Experian Automotive. Ready to transform your automotive marketing? Visit Experian.com/automotive to learn how our data-driven solutions can help you find new customers, keep loyal ones, and navigate the road ahead with confidence. That's Experian.com/automotive. Take control of your marketing journey today.
Welcome back to Daily Drive. I'm Kellen Walker. Automakers can't count on Chinese vehicles being excluded from the U.S. market forever. That's a warning from Larry Dominique, who worked as an executive for PSA North America and Stellantis, and is now president of LD Management Consulting. He spoke with Automotive News Tech and Innovation Senior Editor Jerry Hirsch on the latest episode of Shift, a podcast about mobility. Here's a piece of their conversation.
One of the things that people are really talking about now is China and what effect it's going to have on the Western auto industry. How do you see this playing out?
First of all, thanks, Jerry, for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here at Automotive News. You know, the Chinese influence to the legacy OEMs, so the way I refer to them as legacy OEMs, I think is going to be profound. You know, these companies are all multinational companies, but the markets are very, very diverse. Asia Pacific is quite different than Europe in regulatory environment. U.S. has got a little bit of a protectionism going on right now. And there is going to be a big impact on how the legacy OEMs respond to this kind of onslaught of this new technology, faster manufacturing, software developed vehicles. So I think it's going to be a profound impact to the industry.
Do the Chinese have a qualitative edge at this point over the Western automakers?
I think what I'm seeing from everything we know, the speed at which they're integrating and developing their vehicles. I think of it as a software iteration process more than a true hardware development. We're used to 48-month development cycles. They're talking about 18 months. They're talking about 12 months for iterative development. They're doing a wonderful job of integrating technology, user technology, cell phone technology into the automobiles, connectivity to everything going on around them, Internet of Things. The legacy OEMs have done that very piecemeal. We spend years developing HMI systems and then they're static for 5 years. It has to be iterative. Tesla is probably the main U.S. manufacturer that's been doing some of that, but certainly we lag.
One of the things that's been a real big issue in the U.S. auto market now is price. So average transaction prices are mid 40,000. At the Automotive News Congress, we heard that the average payments are $700 plus on a new car, which is just huge. And then we talk here that people don't want EVs. They're really kind of gravitating to what they know, going a half step to hybrids and maybe some to plug-in hybrids. But if there was a Chinese or anybody's EV in the market that had 250 miles of range and cost $30,000, you could transact that. Do you think consumers would gravitate to that?
Yeah, Jerry, I've actually read several surveys in the last couple of months about consumer sentiment related to Chinese automobiles. And I've seen as high as 30 to 40% of Americans would consider a Chinese automotive product if the affordability was right. And you exactly nailed it on the head. It's about affordability. $700 transaction prices for people making $80,000 a year is a tough sell. So we've become a market of almost high-end sales only. We've migrated from a segment point of view into SUVs and large pickup trucks. What we really need to do is find that affordability factor again, which we seem to have lost since COVID.
Federal policy pretty much blocks Chinese from entering the U.S. market now with huge tariffs and other hurdles. Do you see a scenario where some of these cars can start to come to market?
Yeah, I believe the protectionist elements are short-term, or short to midterm. You and I both live in California. I already see Chinese vehicles coming across the border from Mexico and driving around the Southern California. So consumers are already seeing them. They're going to learn more about them. So I don't think it's something that the legacy OEMs should fall back on, because if they allow that to happen and don't push for innovation and push for technology, when those gates do open, they're going to have that much more of a gap in order to catch up on.
Where do you see the pain points are for the legacy OEMs going forward, both with production and also with technology?
Yeah, on the production side, and I include the development and R&D in that aspect as well, Jerry, when I think about it. OEMs have a limited amount of CapEx and R&D they can spend. That's just the reality. This is a high capital intensive industry. You need to keep priming that pump. You need to keep sales and revenue going. You need to keep that wholesale going to fund your future development. And what I don't see today, and I think this is the biggest risk to the legacy OEMs, is we're not seeing them have enough bandwidth in that kind of behavior in order to invest and innovate in these new technologies and this rapidly increasing software-defined vehicles, if you want to refer to it that way. So I do believe the legacy OEMs are falling into a trap. They've got to find a way to, in some ways, build a new airplane while they're still in flight. And so far, that's been a big challenge for most of them.
Do you think they're going to survive, or do you think some of them are going to fail?
It's a great question, and it's something I think about a lot. And I think there's a tremendous amount of stress in the system. And I think if it doesn't change, if something doesn't break that logjam, there's risk that we could see more consolidations. We could see potentially some long-term OEMs we've known go away. It's a competitive market. If you just go what happens in Europe and the UK in the last year or so, UK is now 10% Chinese market share. Continental Europe is 5% Chinese manufacturers. So where did the market share come from? Somebody had to have lost that market share. So the legacy OEMs are under more stress from a production efficiency, production capacity, engineering work. So there needs to be some sort of paradigm shift, I think, in the legacy OEMs to really shake the tree and make a decision to move in a highly technological and innovative path.
Larry, when you and I started talking about the auto industry, 15 years ago, we saw Pontiac disappear, and then we saw Hummer disappear, and we saw Saturn disappear, and we saw Saab disappear. What brands that American consumers know now do you think are in danger that could be consolidated over the next 3 to 5 years?
It's a tough question, Jerry, because we could see how the OEMs react to this, and that could very rapidly change the landscape that you're referring to. When I started this industry 40 years ago, I worked at General Motors, and we had 40-something% market share. GM's at 16-17% market share today. So you see a much more competitive market. The other thing that's a challenge to legacy OEMs and puts risk to exactly what you just said is the fact that the model count in the United States continues to go up. So if this new electrification and new technologies, OEMs are not deleting vehicles, they're just adding more vehicles. So our sales per model continues to drop in this country, which means everything is becoming less efficient. Your manufacturing is becoming less efficient, your marketing is becoming less efficient. So OEMs are going to have to react to that. And obviously, there are some of the low-volume brands that are certainly going to be at more risk than the high-volume brands. I think those brands or OEMs that focus on limited volume segments are going to be at more risk. So you've got to play in the core segments. You've got to play in C and D and E and F in this country if you're going to be successful. But if you're a multinational, if you're in Europe, you need to play in A. You need to play in B. If you're in South America, you need to play in A and B. So they're going to have to come up with a multinational strategy, to really be successful long term.
I've been looking at some Tesla sales numbers over the past few months, and where once this company had 80-90% market share in EVs, now it looks like it's dipping in the U.S. below 40, and the fall in Europe, I think, is steeper. What's behind that, and where do you think Tesla, which has been this innovator and disruptor in the auto industry. Where do you think it's headed?
It's another good question. So Tesla was a front runner, in the EV world, and not just the EV world, but the integration of technology world, right? This kind of Internet of Things, this melding of technology for consumers. I think the legacy OEMs know how to make great cars. And what you've seen is over the last few years, some of these first generation EVs or second generation EVs in some cases from the legacy makers coming on board. And they do have brand loyalty. They do have brand cachet that goes with that. And I think that's benefited them in gaining market share. I think last month, GM was like 11% of EV sales in the US. So you're certainly seeing some of the OEMs capture share in that marketplace. Now there's a little bit of a pullback on that, I believe, because of the protectionist or the tariff issues that have allowed them to take a sigh of relief and not push the EVs so rapidly. Tesla's going to have to continue to innovate. I don't believe Cybertruck was it. All right, Cybertruck I think was a big mistake on their part, but refining the Model Y, refining the Model 3, and getting those vehicles in the price points that they need them to be, continue to improve the quality. Because when they first came out, I criticized the chassis dynamic performance. I criticized some of their steering, but I didn't criticize their technology. Right? They had all that. So learning that and catching up on that, I think, was good. And they've been an innovator in manufacturing. Gear casting and some other things that other OEMs are now saying, wow, what a great idea. Let's go do it. So I do believe they've led in that. Their market cap is so high, they're not an acquisition target by anybody. If anything, all the other OEMs could be an acquisition target for them from a market cap point of view. So I do believe Tesla will be around for a long time, but I think they're going to reach some sort of plateau in market share, probably much lower than it is today.
LD Management Consulting President Larry Dominique spoke with our own Jerry Hirsch on Shift, a podcast about mobility. You can hear their full conversation on Shift wherever you get your podcast. That's Daily Drive for today. I'm Kellen Walker. Thanks to Automotive News executive producer Jake Neer, as well as our own Vince Bond Jr. and Jack Walsworth for their reporting for today's podcast. You can get the latest news on Chinese competition, cybersecurity, and everything happening in the auto industry at autonews.com. Come back tomorrow for a conversation with former Congressman Mike Rogers, who is running for Michigan's open U.S. Senate seat in 2026.
I mean, China is moving out smartly. They're trying to capture world market, and they're doing it, with American consumer money. And so realigning that, I think, has been really, really important for Michigan working families and getting these jobs back.
We'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think of the show and the topics we covered today. Send us an email at dailydrive@autonews.com or leave us a voicemail at 313-444-2774. And if you enjoy the podcast, remember to like, leave a review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.